We have joining us Sania Mirza, former doubles world #1 in tennis, and poet, writer, performer Priya Malik. Sania Mirza, we've spoken about doves. How old were you initiative a little earlier on the show. What prompted you to be a part of the show? Was there something about beauty biases in your adolescence or examples that we've raised here that resonated with you?
100%. I think that for me, for a child, from a regular Muslim family in Hyderabad, which was a small city at that time, to choose to play tennis, being a girl, an outdoor sport was something that was very, very different. And I could straight away relate to, when I saw the campaign, I heard about it, I was like, I can straight away relate to this because these are beauty standards that we as young girls are always subject to, and even as adults, but as young girls, it probably affects us a lot more because we're still kind of growing into our own skin, still insecure of the way that we feel, the way that we look. And these kind of, questions obviously put a doubt in your mind, and they do shape you into becoming the person that you can or cannot be. So it definitely resonated with me.
And Sania, parents, especially mothers, but also fathers, play a very critical role in either perpetuating or then stopping these narrow ideas of beauty. What was it like for you with your parents?
Luckily for me, with both my parents, actually, not just my mother. I come from we are a very small and close-knit family, and I didn't really ever have that at home. Nobody was really bothered about what we wanted to do. We were just allowed to achieve and dream about our goals and move forward with them, and it didn't matter if we became dark in the process. That was not something that really crossed our mind at all, and that was the way that we were brought up. We were never taught to be judged or judge people by the color of their skin, and that is just something that as a family, we just didn't think that was a problem at all, and we didn't see how other people didn't see it that way as well. So I was very lucky to have parents who were completely supportive in whatever field I chose to play tennis, but they were supportive in everything that we did, regardless of what that could make you look like or what the society thought about it.
Sania, what would you say to mothers of young girls about the things they might subconsciously say or do that feed into the idea of beauty test?
I think it's very important to understand that a girl is so much more than the way she looks, and a young woman is so much more than her just looking good for someone to get married to, right? And I think that's what I want to tell young mothers. Being a young mother myself, I do have a boy, but I want to tell mothers of boys and girls, just having a child is not enough. You also need to put that confidence in the child that they can go out and achieve whatever they want, regardless of what color they are, regardless of what color they might become, regardless of what gender they are. And I think that is something that I have spoken so openly about all my life, because it is so important to me, because I've had that support from my family, and I was very, very lucky. My sister and I, we were so lucky to have that. And, I just hope and wish and pray that at one point the entire world becomes like that. And it takes a conscious effort to not subconsciously put that pressure on your young girls, especially because it has been in our system and in our culture for so many years that sometimes even as women, we kind of forget where we are, where that line is, where that boundary is, and we forget that subconsciously we are making a child feel insecure in their own skin. And I think as mothers, it's our job and duty to be very conscious of that.
And apart from color, as an athlete, there's an additional pressure on athletes to have a certain kind of body. In addition to looking a certain way, it also has to perform a certain way. Does that create added pressure on young teenage girls who are athletes or aim to be athletes?
I think that a woman, regardless of whether they're athletes or not, are judged on the way they look far way too much than guys are, right? I mean, that's just the way the world works, and that is why we're trying to have these conversations to try and change that. Because the fact of the matter is that when a young girl is trying to play a sport, let's say for instance, and she's trying to succeed, she's not really too bothered about the way that she looks, at least on the court. I mean, I know I am not, and I wasn't. I really didn't care how bad I looked or what I looked like, as long as I was trying and giving my best to win the tennis match. And I don't see why it should be any different, because that's what you expect from a man, right? But the fact is that I did get those questions when I was younger, not at home, but like from the aunts and uncles saying, oh, how long is she going to play for? She's going to become dark. And I was like 12 years old. And they're like, who's going to marry her? And even at that point, I remember thinking to myself, I promise you I'll find someone to marry. It's okay. I don't think and if somebody's going to judge me by the color of my skin, of how dark or light I am, then I don't think that person is worth marrying. There's definitely so much more added pressure. Even now, you put on a kilo or two and all of a sudden you get questions on social media if you're pregnant. That's how much pressure there is for a woman to constantly look amazing and have that whatever the figure they have in mind or is the ideal figure for a woman. Because if someone puts on a kilo or two and all of a sudden they're like, oh, are you pregnant? And that is their only thought process. So it definitely does add pressure, but it's the parents' job to take that pressure off. And that is why it's so important, especially as you mentioned earlier, the mother's job, consciously, because possibly and most probably she's been through those beauty standards as well.
Absolutely. Sania, you are a youth icon and millions of youngsters, especially young girls, look up to you. What would you say to the young girls who are dealing with body anxiety issues, who are feeling the pressure to conform to a certain look?
I think that first of all, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability and believe that as a young girl or as a woman, the way that you look does not define you or your life. And as you grow older, you will understand that so much more and so much better. And if you don't have parents like I did who were giving you all that support that you need, then go and find that support somewhere else, or try and tell them that it is not what defines you as a person, and go after your dreams and believe, just believe in yourself, because if you don't back yourself, nobody else will.
Thank you so much, Sania, for those important suggestions.
Thank you.